Japan's economy is sinking fast, and undoubtedly what the central banks are going to do, as they always do, is to print money. That is their solution to everything, it seems. And that is no different here in Japan. Let's take a look at what happened recently. Quarter 2 results showed that Japan's GDP growth collapsed amid the sales tax shock. In fact, it collapsed by a minus 6.8% on the GDP. That is a very large number for such a big economy as Japan is, and that obviously spells danger for the future. I'll discuss why I believe this is going to become a huge problem and it will grow, and that is not the only country. Now, I got many requests to talk about Japan, to talk about the UK, to talk about Canada, so I'm trying to bring this up individually, country per country, and to really discuss this in detail as much as I can here with the limited time frame. So basically what happened was they wanted to implement the sales tax, and it hasn't been implemented yet as far as I can tell. However, it looks like this, just the thought of increased tax on consumption is scaring people, and that is obviously bringing in a negative GDP here. Let's get into this. And this article here basically said that today's Japan public debt is 5 times greater relative to the size of its economy, and it tips the scales at 250% of GDP. Now, of course, this does not include the off-balance sheet things, just like the US, just like all other countries. They do not report all of their statistics, and yet still they have 250% of their GDP. Now, they have the zombie banking system. They basically propped up their banking system upon the failure, and they are now left with massive amounts of debt. Let's read this quickly here. In the interim, of course, Japan succumbed to the Keynesian stimulus disease, betting that after the meltdown in the early 1990s, it could borrow and print its way back to prosperity it had known prior to that. So, of course, this cannot be done. I'll show you a chart in a moment why exactly this has never worked, and they have now been in decades of lost growth, and this is not going to be resolved by printing money. And this is one of the issues that I have here. Birth rate in Japan reaches new low. This is going on and on. This is statistics from 2014 showing you that they have nowhere to grow because of their demographics being so off. They are unable to basically generate new income, new wealth through the taxation system and through all these other fraudulent schemes, that basically they're going to run into a big problem. It's not going to get better, it's going to get worse. So they're trying different things. I'll save that for the end to conclude. Japan mulls a $1 trillion yen war chest for stimulus. And this was talking again about the consumption tax hike planned for October next year, and also saying that they're gonna, worry about this $1 trillion stimulus because they're having some problems with deflation. So when they have deflation, that is another excuse to get out there and print money. But this does not solve anything. This is just gonna really basically hurt the saver, as it always does. And then these individuals being again taxed on their consumption, they're not going to buy anything. So they're getting taxed from both angles through the inflation in their dollars, and also when they go to buy something, they're being taxed even more. And this is a big problem. They've tried this in so many different countries and it always failed. So it will again fail in Japan. Let's take a look at this, a history of Tokyo real estate prices, and I highlighted the part here. Prices exploded in the late 80s in the frenzy of the bubble economy. Over the following decade, prices collapsed by over 80%. Look at the chart here showing you this. It has not come up anywhere near the highs that it experienced during the bubble. This is what I fear for many economies around the world, how they engage in such a bubble that's so magnificent. They get all this hot money generating in. There are many factors, of course, which really determine what happens in a bubble. However, this doesn't really ever get resolved when they try and prop it up. They need to let it crash down naturally, organically, have this fall all the way to the bottom, and then real wealth will come in and buy it up, and there will be new growth and new stimulus that is natural, not contrived by a central bank. This is from my book. I'm just showing you the Dow Jones just after the Great Depression and showing you that it took over 25 years before it came back up. Crashes can occur, and they can take significantly long amounts of time in order to get back in order. That's why people think that where their bottom is, you have to watch for the dead cat bounce. You have to watch for these things because they don't just revive themselves overnight. It takes a long time, and the more that the government steps out and steps away from this, the faster it will happen. The more intervention we see, the more problems we will face. That is a simple matter of fact. So Japan has many reasons not to be positive about them. And of course, what's happening now, you have minus GDP growth right now, negative GDP growth. You have them printing trillions of dollars, putting more inflation. You have a consumption tax, which is going to reduce their ability to buy things. You have a birth rate, which is getting lower and lower. And you have a real estate crash that has simply not found its way back up. I hope that you like this information. If you do, please give me a thumbs up. And of course, if there's your country that you want me to focus on specifically in a video, let me know down below. I appreciate all of you guys sharing these videos with your friends and family on Facebook. It's very important. You guys are great and doing that. I appreciate that. And don't forget to become an insider. It's totally free, and it's at themoneygps.com. It's short, concise emails that you get occasionally from me, and that is at themoneygps.com. You scroll down to the bottom and you fill in your email address, and you'll be hearing from me.